Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we are live today. We've been moving a bunch of stuff, a bunch of shelves, a bunch of equipment, a bunch of films, and joining me is Sid.
Hi.
Hey, Sid.
What's up?
Sid is joining us from Manhattan. He lives in
Yes.
Manhattan, and his mom is friends with my wife, and they came up with this plan to say, like, well, hey, why don't we have Sid intern for Skip? And so that's what we've been doing. And this is the first day that he hasn't been schlepping films shelves. So, and it's been like brutally hot. So I was like, all right, we're going to do some film related stuff. So today we, the first couple of films were ones that Sid picked and then Sid helped scan. And we haven't, with our scanner, we don't hear the soundtrack, so we don't really know what some of these films are about. We just saw them visually. So this first one is animated, and I guess it's based on a kid's book. It's called The Furious Flycycle. Enjoy.
My name is Melvin Spitznagel. That's my house, the one with the shutters. There's an apple tree with lots of red apples and a barn in back. My parents let me use the barn for my workshop. My ambition in life is to become a scientific mechanical wizard. I fixed Emma's egg beater so it became the fastest egg beater in town. And Mama's sewing machine was the envy of every household in the county.
Melvin, you certainly are a mechanical wizard.
Thanks, Ma. One hot July day, the freezer at my father's ice cream plant broke down, and the ice cream flooded right down Radish Street. I had an idea what was wrong and went straight to the trouble. I was right. It was a loose rotary 4-gauge whirligax. I pulled out my number 7 Roman wrench, gave the whirligax a couple of twists, and in a jiffy, everything was under control. Oh, boy, a new Silver Zephyr bicycle. Thanks, Pop.
Thank you, son.
The day I got my new Silver Zephyr was the very same day that famous inventor, Professor Mickey Mickey, formerly of Prague, Stuttgart, Liverpool, and Bombay, arrived in town.
This is the town in which I want to spend the rest of my life. Unnoticed.
He painted his house green, so it was practically invisible. The moving men drove up and down Maple Street a dozen times before they found the place. It made me happy to know that such a great man as Professor Mickey Mackey was living in our town. But it made me sad to see that while I, Melvin the Mechanical Wizard, was hiding under a tree, Professor Mickey Mackey, the world's greatest inventor, was hiding inside his house. And we'd probably never meet. I read the weekly paper very carefully, looking for some mention of the professor, but he never came out of his house, and certainly never gave interviews to the press. It was the day I went to Gearhart's Hardware to buy some nuts and bolts that my luck suddenly changed.
Give me a reel of piano wire.
Yes, sir. He's my best customer. He gets very angry if I don't wait on him at once.
Good morning, Professor.
Oh, you look like a nice young boy. What's your name?
Melvin. Say, Professor, why don't I take your wire on my bicycle? I could have it at your house before you get there yourself.
A marvelous idea.
Here's the wire you ordered, Professor.
I got it.
Thank you, Mr. Gerhardt. Oh, clumsy me, forgetting to tell you about my camouflaged house.
Oh, that's okay. Can I carry the piano wire in for you, Professor?
How thoughtful. I didn't think young fellows were thoughtful anymore. All right, give me the wire now.
Here you are, Professor.
Ah, such an excellent boy. Do you have a baseball?
Sure, here you go.
Oh, so kind of you. Do you mind?
No, not at all.
No. First, we're gonna bore a hole straight into the middle of the ball. Yeah. Then we fill that hole with these secretly powered gray pellets what I invented. Probe inside with a crystal stick to make sure no pellets are lost. And then we're gonna plug up the hole with some quick-drying putty. Finally, we place the ball on this copper ring. We activate the transformer and watch. See?
Holy cats! Wow!
See? Such an excellent boy, doesn't touch.
I borrowed one of the professor's secret gray pellets to check it out in my workshop. Then, when the professor wasn't looking, I diagrammed the inside of the transformer.
Young man, what are you doing?
Just taking some notes, Professor.
What have I done? Children, even children cannot be trusted.
But I want to be an inventor, Professor.
Oh, so you want to be an inventor? Listen to me now. It is very difficult, this journey you want to make, to be a scientific mechanical wizard. Better you should have a farm, grow chickens, make omelets. The simple life, that's the best, believe me.
No, I want to be a wizard, like you.
All right, but it's difficult, very, very difficult.
I think I can do it, Professor.
It's from Aunt Lola and Uncle Gus and Cousin Benny and Chester. Oh, they're planning an expedition up the Manasaki River. Canoeing by day and camping out at night. Why, they want Melvin to join them very much.
Isn't that something? Oh, I envy you that trip, Melvin.
Sorry, I'm otherwise occupied. Nothing could separate me from my work. Not even tear gas.
The chance of his lifetime, and he'd rather be cooped up in that stuffy barn.
Parcels came almost every day. Burners and beakers, scalpels and tweezers, magnifiers and chemicals, and whatnot. Then finally, one day, I discovered the secret of the great pellets! Yahoo! Yippee! Yay!
Telegram! Telegram!
Thank you, Sonny.
Who's it from, dear?
It says Aunt Lola and Uncle Gus and Cousin Benny and Cousin Chester failed to arrive at their destination at the end of the canoe expedition. They're 3 days overdue.
Oh!
Don't worry, Mom. I finished the black box.
What black box?
My generating, stabilizing, electrocarbon, condensating, atmospheric, procyclonic, compact, dynamic, magnetic box.
My dear relatives are lost on the Manasaki River, and he raves on about black boxes.
Mom, I'm telling you, the black box is gonna save your family. I'll be back soon.
Melvin!
Oh, my word.
Good luck, son.
Ride carefully, Melvin.
Ah, forest country. I must be getting close. And these must be the rapids of the Manasaki. I pumped the flycycle with more and more speed, almost touching the surface of the moving river, so I would not miss a single clue. I thought about how Aunt Lola played the piano and taught crocheting, and how Uncle Gus was in the soda pop business. Their sons, Benny and Chester, were extremely uncoordinated. What chance would they have against these raging rapids? Or against a suddenly grouchy bear? What's that up ahead? Footprints! Wolves! The canoes! It's them! Uncle Gus! Aunt Lola! Benny! Chester! Hang on, everybody!
It's Melvin!
Okay, everybody, hop on! Grab that stick to balance us with, Uncle Gus. Let's get going! Well, we got off the ground. Now let's head for home. The Furious Flycycle, a little worse for wear, was launched on its return journey.
How are we going to find our way in the dark, Melvin?
See the Big Dipper over there? That will lead us straight home.
We're gonna make it, Melvin?
I don't know. I'm getting awfully tired.
Look out, Melvin. Here comes the wild duck.
Yikes!
Melvin, we're losing altitude.
I know. I can hardly pump anymore. Hey, I think that's our town up ahead.
Oh, thank goodness.
The courthouse. The barn. Oh, finally.
It's Melvin.
We're back, folks. Everybody's okay.
Yay! We made it.
You know, the professor was right. It is difficult being a scientific mechanical wizard. And it's also very tiring.
Going live with the mic. All right, so Sid, it looks like you have a super fan in the chat.
Yes, thank you, Nami. I see you, Nami. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It means a lot.
so sometimes we have moderators on our comments, and so don't block that person.
No,
They're
don't.
just
That's my
super
friend. That's
that
good.
super excited person. So Sid, was based on the title. What were you expecting?
I don't really know. I think that was a very kind of nondescript almost. I think Flycycle. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm assuming it's Flycycle. Like bicycle.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was a little bit confused, but I mean it makes sense. Like that is a flying bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that reminded me a bit of definitely some like late 60s, maybe like early 70s, like Saturday morning cartoons almost, like maybe Jetsons type of vibes or like Flintstone type of like animation almost.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, and so there were a couple of cartoon voices in there. So June Foray was a prominent. I don't know. She might still be alive too, but she did so many voices for Hanna-Barbera, for Warner Brothers cartoons. She did the voice of Rocket J. Squirrel and Rocky and Bullwinkle, and so would do all these voices. So she shows up in this, and then Hans Conrad, who also did a bunch of cartoon voices, and so yes, that vibe is definitely there, and I'm sure that the animators, there were some share of animators who did Saturday morning cartoon stuff. But the story, yeah. So like looking at that, I thought, well, is this the life cycle of a fly? Because I have a film that's called Life Cycle of a Fly, and I thought the only thing that was weird was fabulous, because normally we don't talk about life cycles of flies as being fabulous. So, but yeah, this is definitely a kid book that kids would get excited about, because the hero is the kid, the one who saves the day. But don't ask the professor what he did during World War II, because we don't want to know what he did with piano wire back then. All right. So this next film you picked, you were very excited. You sought this out. Smoker's Lung. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, go ahead and put down your sandwich that has speckled lunch meat, because it's going to get a little gross with some of the slides.
Nami, if you're still watching, this one is for you.
All right, enjoy.
In Canada, as elsewhere, diseases of the lungs are a major health concern. In recent years, 3 types of projects in particular have helped to give us a much clearer understanding of what actually happens to the lung tissues as a result of cigarette smoking. One of these is the study of lungs at autopsy in both smokers and non-smokers. A second is the study of tissues removed at the time of surgical operation. And the third is examination under the microscope of that type of material that is coughed up from the lungs in both, again, smokers and non-smokers. Much of this work is carried out in our department in attempts at earlier diagnosis of lung cancer. Specimens are first processed and then analyzed by our staff in the laboratories. Any abnormalities which may be found are marked for further study. As a result of these combined studies, we now have a series of slides which presents a comprehensive picture of what actually happens over a long period of time in these lungs. The changes that I am emphasizing here primarily, by the way, are those related to the development of lung cancer. The changes of chronic bronchitis and emphysema are also very important in the context of the effects of smoking on the lungs, but these are the subject of separate studies and merit separate discussion. This first slide is a view under the microscope of the bronchial tube or air passage surrounded by the lining membrane of the airway. This lining membrane normally has 2 functions. You'll notice along the surface there these fine hair-like structures called cilia, and these are constantly moving in a wave-like fashion, as a result of which any impurities deposited on the surface of the lung are propelled upwards and removed from the lung. This process of cleansing the lung is aided by the second function, which is the secretion of mucinous material, or phlegm, from some of these cells in the area. This sticky phlegm oozes out onto the surface, and inhaled impurities are deposited on this material. These 2 important functions in the normal lung keep the airway clear and free from impurities. The air that we breathe is not completely pure. There are always small amounts of pollution which we inhale. However, there is a major difference between the level of impurity in the atmosphere in which we live and the very high level of impurity in inhaled cigarette smoke. In this next slide are some of the individual cells that is, the individual units which make up the lining membrane of the airway. We can see these under the microscope if a sample of sputum material is smeared on a slide and then stained. These cells are normally replaced by others of the same kind after they have become worn out or have exhausted their function and are then cast off into the sputum for removal. At the end of each of these individual cells are these small hair-like structures which have been moving the impurities back up the bronchial tree against the force of gravity. Remember the appearance of these cells in this normal state. Later you will see how different these cells are from those which are cast off after the membrane from which they originate has become cancerous. The first of a series of changes that we see with cigarette smoking is evident in this slide. Instead of clean secretion from the lung containing a few of the normal cells that are being released and replaced by similar new cells, we see accumulations now of these so-called scavenger cells. One might say that this is a secondary line of defense in an attempt to cope with this extremely high concentration of impure material in the inhaled cigarette smoke. These cells, as you can see, have taken up or have ingested numerous particles of carbon and tarry material which have been inhaled in the smoke. Large numbers of these scavenger cells emerge from the lung tissues, take up this material, and are then carried away in the phlegm which is coughed up. The sputum of a cigarette smoker characteristically shows massive accumulations of these cells. The next two slides will show that even this line of defense is overwhelmed and is quite ineffective eventually, because the lungs in a cigarette smoker gradually become blackened in appearance. First is an example of a normal adult lung showing a fresh pinkish color, even though this was a lung from a city dweller. In contrast, this lung from a cigarette smoker shows extensive black discoloration and a rather coal-like appearance on this cut surface. This discoloration in the lung of a heavy cigarette smoker begins to develop in the late high school years, and even in the early 20s, one can see significant amounts of this black deposit. Nature had never intended that the lung should cope with this degree of inhalation of impurity, and so the cleansing mechanism simply cannot cope with its removal. Much of this material becomes permanently deposited in the lung tissues. If we now take another look at the lining of the airway under the microscope, we see abnormality in the lining membrane, which has been developing simultaneously as a result of irritation from the smoking. In reacting this way, the membrane has become thicker and more resistant, but in doing so, it has sacrificed the normal functions of secretion and cleansing activity, and no longer produces the phlegm which helps to remove the impurities. The little hair-like structures are damaged and finally disappear completely from the surface. This has now become a more hardy type of membrane, which is more resistant to the irritation from smoke, but this area of the lung can no longer function in a normal way. After a longer period of time, this change becomes complete, and the affected area has been converted to this thick, dry, and leathery type of lining. This process is a rather prominent phenomenon in the early years of smoking. Over the ensuing years, with further smoking, the changes progress gradually farther and farther out along the air passages. Inhaled material tends to accumulate beyond these areas and become stagnant, resulting in irritation and the smoker's cough. The lung has now become more susceptible to infections generally. Continuing damage to the lining results in more serious changes. This slide shows the abnormal leathery type of lining at these margins, where the regular pattern of structure indicates that even though it is abnormal, it is still benign. In the central area, however, something has gone wrong with the cells. They are irregular in appearance, have become disorganized, they no longer recognize normal limiting boundaries and have begun to encroach on the adjacent normal tissues. These are the first signs of actual cancerous change. These bizarre changes have been induced in the cells after the stress of prolonged and repeated attempts to repair the membrane which has been damaged by this continued irritation. The metabolism within these cells is now abnormal, and the activity of these cells no longer follows a normal pattern. This abnormality gradually involves more of the membrane over a period of years. There are, however, no new or unusual symptoms associated with its insidious progression. In this next slide, on the right, are the bizarre individual cells which may be shed from this type of abnormal tissue. Here, on the left, in contrast, you will recognize the benign normal cells of the type which were originally shed from this area. These cancerous cells bear little resemblance to their normal counterpart. Now, the next few slides will show a series of stages in the cancerous change. Though too small to cause symptoms, the abnormality slowly becomes a visible thickening in the lining of the bronchial tube. This small area with a rough appearance over the surface is the first sign of cancer which is visible without a microscope. However, if we examine a small portion of this tumor after preparation for study under the microscope, we can see that the cancerous tissue is already invading into the deeper areas. This slide, by the way, shows how cancer got its name. Many years ago, when cancer and other tissues were first observed under the microscope, the observers were impressed by these claw-like processes or extensions of cancer as it invaded into the adjacent normal tissues. These seem to resemble the claws of a crab, and the Latin name for crab is cancer. In the center of this slide, you'll notice a small blood vessel. When the tumor eventually invades into the blood vessel, small fragments will break off into the bloodstream and then spread to other parts of the body. In this next slide, this small tumor has reached the stage where it has almost blocked off one of the air passages. In this cross-section of a slightly more advanced cancer, almost blocking the airway, it is interesting to note the black deposits that have accumulated in the lung over the years. You can see that the cancer has not developed in these areas where the deposits are located. Instead, it has developed, as most lung cancers do, in the exposed lining of the air passages. We find, therefore, that the chronic continued irritation of the smoking seems to be important in addition to whatever chemical factor may be present. This tumor, by the way, would not yet be visible in a chest X-ray, as it has not formed a mass outside the wall of the bronchial passage. This slide shows a lung which has been sliced open to reveal a cancer, which has progressed to this relatively advanced stage before the patient became aware of any related symptoms. The lung does not contain sensitive nerve endings, so cancer of the lung in the early stages is not painful, which in a way is unfortunate. This X-ray film of the chest illustrates again the relatively advanced stage of the tumor at the usual time of its discovery because of symptoms. The cancer has already become quite large and very probably would have spread by this time to other areas. Of every 100 patients with lung cancer discovered at this stage, approximately 10 only would survive even 2 years. So as you can see, the effects of smoking on the lung are both diverse and insidious. And the fact that these changes are progressing slowly at this moment in millions of lungs is discouraging for those of us who value healthy human life.
We're live. So, Sid, two things.
Yes.
One, you managed to pick a film that was really gross
Yes.
for lunch. So we're sorry about that. And two, you picked a film that was really boring.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. But I think to an extent, it is interesting to see like something that we never like usually see. Like that's something that's inside us, so you can only like imagine usually like what is really going on like in your lungs and in the cilia, and how the smoke is affecting you. But really like seeing it with your own eyes is like a lot more impactful, I would say.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely still important to see that kind of thing.
So I have this term for certain films where I'm like, that could have just been a film strip. That could have been, or a slideshow. And it literally was a slideshow. They literally just filmed this guy. And you could even hear the slide projector in the background. So it's like, really? You want to spend energy like filming this guy talking? Like that makes this more interesting? No, it does not make it more interesting. No. So here's a question. Like, so you're still in high school. Mm-hmm. At any point in your school career up to this point, did anybody ever show you footage like this, or films or video like this, or talk about the dangers of smoking?
I think probably in my health class, in my sophomore year, shout out Miss Patty, my health teacher. She was a good teacher. I think we probably went through some type of little smoking unit or like drugs unit and how they impact the body. But I think like these images that they just showed were like very like in your face, I think, and very like bloody too, and like yucky and really gross. Yeah. So I think this is definitely like a good way to show people.
And somebody in the comments, maybe it was Lord England, said that they actually brought a smoker's lung into the classroom, which is disgusting. But I mean, so this was Canadian made, National Film Board of Canada, so it was paid for with government funds. And I mean, Canada is the place where you buy the packs of cigarettes that have like the gross pictures on them of like people's lungs or of like teeth that are basically deteriorated because of the nicotine. So yeah, they're all about the gross out up there. Yeah. They really don't want you to smoke. The United States, they kind of don't care. So this next film you picked the title. It's called Now What? So maybe together we can answer this question. Now what? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, watching it with a soundtrack doesn't really help.
No.
No.
Definitely. We were very confused when we were scanning it, and still just as confused.
And I got to say, for my money, the Lutheran Church's in America stewardship department has made some of the strangest films in my collection,
Really?
like as far as religious films go, because they made a film called Stalked, which is just nuts. It's about this guy who's being chased in Amsterdam by a wood-clogged Jesus.
Wow.
And then he eventually kills him.
Wow.
And there's other Lutheran films that we have shown on this channel that just floor me, because the Lutherans are pretty boring, but man, their films are nuts. And so I looked it up to see if it was in my database, and let me see, what did I find as far as the description? Made in 1970, comments on the basic preoccupation of man with materialism.
You could see that. You could definitely feel that from the movie.
Holy cow.
Pretty out there.
Yeah, that was nuts. Okay, so I don't know. That was so challenging that I almost am like, maybe I want to give a sweetener. And if I do this sweetener thing where we treat you for having watched what you watched today because of Sid's sadistic vision, I mean, it's all based on titles.
Yeah,
so, you
of
know,
course.
to be fair. And I did know that Smoker's Lung was going to be harsh. So that's kind of on me. So this film is called Eggnapper. And you did not pick this one. This one is one I picked before. And it was released as a Castle film. And so Castle was this company that made films to be distributed to home folks. So people who had a projector at home, they could go to their camera store, and besides just showing their home movies, they could also like buy like a short cartoon, or buy like Abbott and Costello, or a Laurel and Hardy, or like a Mickey Mouse cartoon. And then it wouldn't, in most cases, it wouldn't have sound, and it would be in black and white, and there would be intertitles, so, and it would be very cut down. So a lot of times people who approach me, they're like, is this film valuable? It's usually a Castle film that they're like, well, this is Laurel and Hardy. I'm like, yeah, but that's a 8mm Laurel and Hardy film that has been shortened to 3 minutes. And also there's 35mm versions of it that are valuable. So people feel bad. They're like, oh, I thought this was worth something. I'm like, well, actually your home movies are worth something, because those are original things, and there's only one copy of them.
Right.
So this film is interesting because, one, it's in color. Two, it has sound. And this is a Walter Lantz cartoon. And I can't stand Walter Lantz, especially because he did Woody Woodpecker.
Oh.
And oh my gosh, I hate Woody Woodpecker.
You don't like? I like Woody Woodpecker.
Okay,
like
well, that's great. I'm happy for you. So the Woody Woodpecker baton has been passed on to another generation, which is great because you can enjoy it all you want because he drives me nuts. But this is not Woody Woodpecker. This is another character, and it's called Eggnapper. And yeah, enjoy.
How'd you go, pussycat? Note to the milkman. Park closed for the winter. All right, boys, the party's over. No more free sandwiches, fresh fruit, cookies, chocolate bars, or giant malts. Oh. From now on, you'll have to use all your native know-how to survive. Now go into the woods, boys, and dig up your dinner. You'll find plenty of beetles, ticks, termites, worms, and slugs. All right, boys, get lost. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Play, boys. Now I'll get myself some eggs for a nice omelet. Good boy. Protecting my eggs, eh? Boy, that's loyalty for you. Fresh eggs. He's stealing my eggs. All right, Fatso. What you got? Oh, Fatso, you're a mother. All right, Fatso, back on the nest. Keep 'em warm.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like that. The pacing of that, I don't like. The characters, I don't like. Although I did like that guy's voice with the mustache, but just I don't know. It's just too frantic for me. I have a very defined taste. Like I don't even really like MGM Tom and Jerry cartoons. They grate on me as well. I'm very much a Warner Brothers fan. Merry Melodies, Looney Tunes. Fan.
Classics.
Yes. Of course. So Sid is going to help me set up some shelves now. And then we'll be back again tomorrow. And I think we'll try to do the same thing. We'll pull some films and then we'll scan them tomorrow. And then, we'll kind of see what happens. And then on Friday, we're going to have another intern of mine, Ayana, who is older. She's graduated from college. We're going to watch at least three films featuring Safety Woman, Guardiana. Now, you don't know who that is, but some of you might know who this is. But so I found the missing third film that is not online anywhere. And brand new. I was like, what is this film? And I put it on. I was like, holy cow, it's Guardiana. So we're going to do a world 21st century premiere of this new Guardiana film. And you guys watch it, and we will chime in on Safety Woman together.
Get hyped. Get excited, guys.
Get excited, yes. Thank you, Sid, for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in and commenting. You guys are awesome. I'm happy to share for Sid to see your world. And if you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button. You can also donate via the super thanks button or via ko-fi.com or patreon.com/avgeeks. All of those ways. But at the very least, just showing up. And thank you, Sid's friends and family, for tuning in as well.
Thank you, guys.
And is it true that you were named after Sid Barrett?
Yes.
Yes.
That's true.
That is 100% true. Somebody called that out and said, oh, Sid Barrett.
Whoever said that, good guess.
Yes.
That was good.
So, all right, everybody, take care, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.